I want you to take a look at the world that we are standing in right now. A war with Iran that has already drawn in the United States and Israel and starting to separate people. Oil routes are threatened, missiles crossing borders, regional powers trembling, the Vatican pleading for bombs to stop. There is a description of these times at the end of the Bible. It's wars and rumors of wars. And that's the way everything kind of feels right now. You know, you might have heard your father, your grandfather say, there are no atheists in a foxhole. The prospect of war, even one across the world, makes people reach for ancient stories and holy books, whether you're religious or not. It happens. And there is something unsettling that is going on. And something about this war in particular that makes us think about the ancient world and the beginning of everything, but also the end of everything. You know, whether that's nuclear war or the apocalypse, things that none of us want to think about. We don't want to think about those things. Christians believe that upheaval, apostasy, calamity, a moral collapse are signs of the end. But we don't know when that end is. This has happened over and over again all throughout history. Some Jews look at Israel restored in their land, surrounded by enemies, and asking whether, wow, is history moving to the place where the Messiah, as promised to the Jews, is coming? Muslims, especially with the Shia eschatology, they hear this language of oppression and chaos and deception and war and ask whether, is Trump the Dajjal? Is he the Antichrist? They're actually saying that in parts of the Middle East. He might be the Antichrist. Is the Mahdi coming? And their own tradition speaks of widespread injustice and the Mahdi being revealed. Jesus comes back, but not as Jesus, as, you know, anyway, the deceiver falling, the great Satan falling, and history rushing towards a reckoning. So let me talk to you about what's happening here. What do you see happening? The world's great faiths are not suddenly agreeing on every doctrine. They're doing something more haunting than that. They are all staring at the same storm, each from a different tower, each from a different text, each with a different vocabulary, but they're all looking at the horizon and saying in one form or another, this may not be ordinary. Civilizations don't merely collapse from bad economics or failed diplomacy. Sometimes they do. They collapse when they lose any sense that eternity has a claim on them. When nothing is sacred and everything becomes negotiable. And we have been here in the last 25 years. Marriage is negotiable. Truth is negotiable. Whose truth? What truth? Your truth. Children become negotiable. They're not your children. They belong to somebody else, the school, the state. We can do whatever we want because they're not underage, really. We can adjust their body. How do you know what sex is? Justice is negotiable. Even human life is negotiable. And once people have lost the permanent, they become the perfect prey for the intermediate. And that's where we are right now. And believe.
Okay.